Hiya and welcome back to our garden podcast. Today's episode is all about overwintering Ensetes. So for me, it's been the first year actually growing an Ensete from a small plant, probably about a foot high, was it?
Yeah, I would have said so, yeah.
When I got it.
Little plug plant, wasn't it?
And obviously Chris been growing them in his jungle garden for quite a long time now. So what, 5 or 6 years maybe?
I've been doing the jungle 5 years, but the Ensetes, yeah, probably is 5 years actually. I lost a load year 2, so I had to start again. But that's part and parcel of having Ensetes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We seem to have, seem to be doing all right and have cracked the code.
Well,
so,
you do.
Happy days.
But no, I'm really happy with mine. What's the season? This is obviously mine here. Chris, in the world's smallest car, Chris decided to bring his over for the video today for an example of his. And this one's actually grown in shade in yours, isn't it?
This is part shade, yeah. So this is the reason why I brought it over was just to show you the difference in growing an Ensete in full sun and in part shade. Now, this is probably getting on, I reckon 10 foot,
yeah.
But this is it's only been year 2 in the ground. It's probably year 3 as the plant, because you buy them as a plug plant, they're already probably a year old.
Yeah.
So this will be 3 years old, but it's only been outside for 2 years. But because it's part shade, hold my coffee. Got it?
Yeah.
Because it's grown in part shade, the leaves, they search for the light and the sun. So you'll get a lot more skinnier stem, longer, slimmer leaves. But what it means is the trunk doesn't develop like it would in full sun. So although it's 10 foot tall, the trunk, as you'll see when we dig Ollie's one that's only a year old, is pretty much the same sort of circumference. So
if not, mine's probably a little bit thicker, to be honest. But
yeah, well, we'll see when we dig it out in a minute. Yeah. But this is what they look like if you grow them in part shade. You get the height, you get the slimmer leaves. They're more of a statement plant, but whether or not this is going to be easy enough to overwinter is a different ball game.
And how old did you say this one is?
This is 3 years old.
This is 3 years. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's if you're wanting a statement plant and something pretty spectacular, really, isn't it? In a kind of, if you've got a garden that doesn't contain loads of jungle tropical kind of plants and you want a real statement thing to stand out in your garden within a couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely, yeah. Really, and the great thing about this is when they go tall and skinny like this, they don't take up a lot of room. So if you lost that lower leaf, it's literally taking up no room at all. So if you've got a small garden,
under the canopy,
and you've still got the height within 2 years. So
yeah,
and it looks like a different plant. It's gone into a different form. Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Obviously, yours is a lot bigger than mine, so you can see. For when I look at it as like I am an amateur in terms of, especially in terms of Ensetes. My leaves look, for me, a little bit more sort of healthy. Yours have kind of ripped, and as they've got bigger and bigger,
that's because
tends to happen.
That's because I stuffed it in a tiny car.
That's because you stuffed it in a tiny car.
I mean, they do catch wind more. Obviously, they're more open and susceptible to it.
So as mine gets bigger, it will probably look more like this ripped, sort of shredded leaf as it gets bigger.
Yeah, I mean, yours is in a sheltered spot. Again, mine, because we're up high where the garden
you catch the wind
a lot more. Yeah. So although it's in the jungle, which is its own sheltered microclimate now, once that comes up through the canopy, and it does catch the wind. But it's part and parcel of having big leaves.
Probably saying is when mine's as big as yours, it will look a lot better than yours. Probably.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what you're saying.
Essentially, yeah, maybe.
But no, to be honest, like I say, I've got this at about foot high. It's still pushing out another leaf now. Every time one leaf's fully unfurled, another one's been on its way all year, and it's just so exciting to come out and see that process. I almost ignore my other bits and pieces I've had in there for years now, and just sort of go for that straight away, and then I'll see that my tomatoes are ripening and stuff after I've checked the incentive. So yeah, it's been exciting.
I think there's no getting away from it. They do better the more sun they get. Your leaves are a different colour to mine. They're more red. It does look more healthy. But like I say, with my garden, because it's so overgrown and jungly now, and you've got the canopy, it is hard to find direct sun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's part and parcel of having sun-loving plants and what I call now a full jungle garden.
Yeah. But you can, like you say, do it in shade or full sun. So
yep,
the options are there, aren't they? Right, so what we're going to do is a little bit of a practical now, and Chris going to show us sort of the process behind overwintering an Ensete, and use mine as an example. And yeah, catch you in a second.
Okay, so there's 2 ways that you can overwinter an Ensete. What we'll do, we'll start digging this one up first, and then I'll do the 2 examples, and then there's a third option, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So what we need to do is dig this one up. So when you're digging, get in and around the root ball. Now the good thing about Ensetes is they only have small root balls. So, oh no, I broke your spade.
Oh, my spade's broken. Yeah, I've got another one.
It's your vintage rubbish. Look at that.
This is 18th century, not 17th century. So
This is a fence post spade. We'll see how this one goes.
Perfect. Look at that.
Right. Can I stand on your beginners?
Yeah, you stand on there and they're going
Right,
anyway.
let's get in here.
Mine are colocasia because that's taken me 17 years to get some colour. So
Taking up your tropical planting space.
mine my unripened tomatoes as well.
You make jam out of those. God, they
handle,
smell nice, doesn't they? Not fun.
Jammed out of tomatoes?
Yeah, you can make out of the unripe ones. Right, okay. So,
look at that.
As you can see.
Is that it?
Yep. Tiny root ball. Now, if you hold that.
I'm going to hold it up a little bit so we can see it.
Okay. Right, so the example of the size of the root ball and the size of the plant. Exactly the same. Take that soil off there.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Exactly the same size root ball for the size of the plant. So just because it's huge, still doesn't take up much space in the ground.
Yeah, yeah. That's really surprised me.
Okay.
To be honest, I thought even this smaller one would be quite a lot bigger than that. So when you say it only needs a little pot.
Yeah, literally, a tiny little pot.
It does only need a little pot, doesn't it?
Right, so the options are, we'll do the first one with the pot first. Okay, first option, dig up like this, soil around the root ball, a pot the size of the root ball, done, that's it.
So that's it?
Obviously, get it in there properly.
Yeah.
Get the appropriate size pot, but that's option one.
And that'll do?
Yep, that's how I got these ones through last year. Straight into the conservatory or an unheated greenhouse.
Yeah.
And that's what got these ones through. Although it was a mild winter last year, it could have been on my side. If we've got a beast from the east situation,
yeah,
it might be a different story.
So how did yours, what happened to yours during that process then, is in terms of just doing like this? What happens to the leaves over the winter period inside? And
they do die back. It'll basically go into dormancy. The colder it gets, it goes into dormancy. So you will lose throughout the winter some of the leaves. I'll give you an example. They'll all die back. And you'll probably end up with maybe, I mean, this had probably 2 half good leaves in the roller left at the end of the season, but it meant that come spring, it was ready to go again.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that advantage. It doesn't actually go full dormancy.
Almost like a house plant that's been bought
kept in a colder temperature. Yeah, the only problem with keeping these as house plants, one, I wouldn't advise it at all. They like the damp air, humidity. They don't like the central heating, dry air.
Yeah.
And they're also really, really susceptible to pests.
Right,
so they'll be absolutely covered. Even in a cool greenhouse or cool conservatory, they get absolutely covered in spider mite and other bits and bobs. But it's still the best way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
In a conservatory in a cooler climate. Right, option 2 is dry store. So we'll take some leaves off just to make it easier. So when you're cutting these leaves off, cut them where the leaf ends. Don't cut too close to the stem.
Okay.
Because what happens is, when you cut a leaf off, this part will dry up and die back. You can see on this one, this is what happens. So when you lose a leaf, it will dry up like that. So you need that distance between the stem to let it dry and die back.
Yeah.
If you cut it too close to the stem, you'll get rot and potentially it will rot into the stem.
Yeah.
Okay.
A bit like the dieback on a tree. So when you cut the branch off a tree,
exactly that. You've got to allow.
And then it allows it to split a bit, doesn't it? And then you can.
So I'll cut all these leaves off.
Making me sad.
It's a sad time of year. You'll be all right. If you want a little cry, just go off camera.
Not that one.
What I will do, because it's still fairly early on in the season, it's not quite the time to be doing this. Probably another couple of weeks maybe, when it's consistently getting to below 5 or consistent frosts. You need to get them in just before that. We had a couple of nights just gone, haven't we, where we had a couple of frosts up where I was, and we're in the south of south of England as well. So
yeah, it's definitely turning.
but I think 1 or 2 nights of cold is fine. It's when it's consistent. Right, so we'll leave those on like that.
Oh.
Leave. That's the last one gone. Right,
leave it out.
Leave the roller.
Yeah.
And then what we need to do now is you need to wash all this mud off. So it's literally just root.
Yeah.
Just root. So we'll go and do that now. Okay, so that's all the soil washed off. Ideally, wash some more soil off. Get every single last piece of soil off. So these are completely, I've just got a bucket of muddy water, so it's not really helping me.
Yeah.
But yeah, get these so they're completely clear. Tip that upside down. You can see the water coming out of that. They hold a hell of a lot of water. So what you need to do now is find a place, shed or garage or something, and leave that upside down for as long as possible. Up to a week.
Doesn't matter if there's no light or...
No light, nothing. So this is now going to go into dormancy.
Yeah.
Okay. Let that completely dry out. Once you sat there for at least, I mean, something this small, 3-4 days minimum.
Yeah.
But once that's completely dried, it stopped dripping. You can then tip it back up this way. I'd put it back in a pot, no soil at all.
Yeah.
Just to keep your garage clear. And you can wrap that with either Hessian, something breathable, fleece, weed control membranes, breathable as well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Wrap it a few times, put it in a shed, conservatory, and that's that done. Loft.
That's
You've
it.
got a loft, yeah.
And then when are we bringing it back out? May, June?
Again, it's weather permitted.
Dependent,
You've got to check those temperatures.
Yeah. So once the frost has stopped,
it's
warming up
normally
a little bit.
Yeah. Don't rush it. I rushed it the year before last, and that's when I lost my specimen ones, which was a shame because they were almost this size,
Yeah.
but thicker trunks, and I lost them. So just don't rush it. Check. Yeah, it's got to be about 15 plus. Consistently, yeah. So you're looking at probably
early June now, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably is. It was for me this year.
Yeah.
Like I say, there's absolutely no point rushing it at all. One thing I will say is the shorter the period of dormancy that you can give them, the better. Same with colocasias or any sort of tropical bulbs that you're trying to overwinter. The shorter the period, the more chance they've got of coming out the other side. And the thicker the trunk as well. They use up a lot of reserves whilst overwintering. So the thinner the stem, the less chance you've got of overwintering them.
Oh, right,
Hence why with the plug plants and the pups, you're better off trying to keep them semi-dormant, i.e. don't dry store them because they just won't have the reserves in the trunk.
Right.
When you're overwintering them and dry storing them, they will shrink. I mean, I've had ones that shrink up to 50% and they look like they're dead.
Yeah.
But just bear with them come spring. Bit of warmth and a tiny bit of water. That's another thing. Do not water any of these over winter at all.
Yeah.
They just don't need it. There's plenty of moisture in the leaves, in the trunk, in the soil to see them through.
Yeah. So basically, as soon as the frost debris gone and you're confident that it's picking up temperature enough for them to come out, start doing their thing.
Yeah.
Just get them back out again. So the less dormancy, the better.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we hope you've. I've definitely learned something because I've never done this before. It's the first year, like I said, growing any kind of banana or ensete or anything tropical at all, really. So it's been really exciting for me this year as a starter in terms of that side of gardening. So I've definitely learned something today, and hopefully you guys have as well. And yeah, we'll see you. We're going to do some more tutorials like this, aren't we, of certain things, especially this season when we're starting to take things in your garden. Especially you've done quite a few already, which has been really interesting. So yeah, check back on other videos that we've done. There's lots to learn, and hopefully it's still entertaining you guys. We're certainly having fun doing these longer form videos, aren't we?
Yeah,
so,
loving it.
And yeah, we'll do some updates on the continued progress of our gardens and the shacks and bits like that over the coming weeks and months. So thanks for watching again, and see you all soon.
See ya.